Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's May 28th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, refreshed from a long Memorial Day weekend and rejoined again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And I mentioned Memorial Day weekend, Matt. That does not mean that we took the weekend off. The CaneSport team has been grinding on copy. So much going on. We got camp season starting at Miami this week. We're previewing that for you. We've got official visits, the nitty gritty official visits of the 2025 recruiting cycle starting this Friday. We are previewing all of those for you to the best we can and pounding you guys with copy. And then, of course, we're also looking at the big picture of the football team and how it's coming together and trying to break it down for you in every which way imaginable. And we're going to talk about a couple of them this morning. I think I'll start, Matt, with the CaneSport roundtable that we did with our entire staff, where we talk about whether the Miami Hurricanes defense can finish 2024 ranked higher nationally than it did in 2023. And this is really interesting. I love doing this one because I just found it a fascinating subject, because when you look at it on face value, just at the pure numbers, the Miami defense did make a decent jump in most defensive categories last year. They went from 64th to 24th in total defense, from 54th to 11th in rush defense, from 79th to 55th in pass yards allowed, from 102nd to 33rd in team passing efficiency defense, and from 66th to 42nd in scoring defense. But I'm going to throw out the but, because I did it when I did my analysis. You guys can read the whole thing and the story that's on the website today. But Matt, I came out of the season thinking that the defense was just okay. Like I know all those numbers say, man, better. But I can't shake the division of North Carolina, for example, where they caught us with the up-tempo offense that the defense just wasn't really prepared for, and got handed to them pretty good in that game. And listen, when you lose 5 times, you're not playing great. So I'm not prepared to say that it was off the charts. But all that said, when you look at the personnel losses combined with what came in or whatever, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to better what they did last year. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, since nobody watches this show anyway, I'm going to tell a little story. So I had a nice Amazon package delivered, and some dude rides in on a bike and steals it. Like, it just rides into my driveway and steals it. So, naturally, I did the first thing that any law-abiding citizen would do. I told my wife a package got stolen. I said, "What are you going to do about it?" And she said, "Nothing." So I said, "I'm going to call the police." She replied, "Ha ha." This is over text. She was at work last week. Ha ha. So I called the police. And I told them, do you guys care that I had an Amazon package stolen? Like, I don't know, is that something police do now? You got murderers, you got ODs, you got a lot of problems. Like, do you care if someone stole my Amazon package? They're like, yeah, it's theft or whatever. I'm like, okay, so I'd like to report that someone stole my Amazon package, And they're like, okay, can you, what happened? I told them this guy came on a bike, like it was like he owned the house, picks up the package and bikes off. They said, okay, what's the description of the perpetrator? I said, it's a guy on a bike holding my Amazon package, And they're like, all right, listen, we're going to send a policeman over. I said, well, when are they going to get here? They're like, there's nothing going on. They said, they'll be here soon. So 2 cops show up at my door. And, I told them what happened.
Neighbors thought you were being arrested, I'm sure.
I had on my, and the reason I know what happened is I had on my Ring doorbell, so I airdropped the video to the cop or whatever. And before they left, I said, listen, can I take a selfie with you guys? Because my wife doesn't think I'm actually calling the police because my $35 Amazon package got stolen. So that they actually were very, very nice. We had a nice photo, nice guys, and off they went. But, the point of the story is, Miami's defense has the same chance of being better this year than last year as I do of having this perp caught and my package returned. It's not going to happen, all right? Miami ranked 11th in rush defense, 11th in the nation in rush defense, 24th in the nation in total defense. And only like some, what are they, millennials, Gen Zers? I don't know what they call these people anymore, but only people Steven and Azubi's age, okay, are going to actually just believe for pie in the sky reasons so fans aren't going to complain about them that the defense is going to be better. You could ask them, no matter how good the defense is this year, ask them next year, they'll be like, the defense is going to be better again. Ask them the year after that, they'll be like, yeah, the defense can still be better this year. That's what these young guys do. They're always optimists. They haven't lived through 20 years of pure hell of having packages stolen in football, Miami Hurricanes terms, every goddamn year. Like, Miami Hurricanes fans expect presents, under the tree every bowl season. And instead, they're getting, my wife just did a what's it called? A sample, a number 2 sample that you have to send away for a study or something. I don't know. Like, that's what they're getting under the tree. They're getting these little boxes that you have to poop in and you send it away. That's all they're getting as their presents because there's nothing good that's come from Miami Hurricanes fans for 20 years. So Azubi and Steven, who just arrived from La La Land where everything's fantastic, also known as Texas and Naples. I guess nothing ever goes wrong in those 2 states, right? Red states, they're always happy there. And look what happens to us old people. Gary and I are like, defense won't be better. If they're lucky, it might be similar. And these 2 young guys are like, of course the defense is going to be better. Why wouldn't it be better? Just because they lost 8 starters and they're desperately trying to find any portal guy who has a pulse, of course they're going to be better. It makes perfect sense. My whole thing is this year, the offense is going to be amazing. And I looked at Texas, okay, and I looked at Florida State because those are the 2. You can find a million examples of coaches entering their 3rd year in college football where they're just the team's worse in their 3rd year. Mario's first year, he was 5-7. His second year, he improved 2 wins. Obviously, should have been 3 wins or whatever you want to call it, whatever. But he still improved win-wise, right? The 3rd year, you got to still have progression. If you're a good coach, your team is your team by year 3 and year 4, and certainly by year 5. So if by year 3 or 4, you're at this level of wins and you're coming down, that's what happened to Mark Richt, who went from 10 wins to, I want to say, 8 wins, 7 wins. That's what happened to Al Golden, who went from 9 wins to, I want to say, 7 wins. For Manny Diaz, or maybe that was Randy Shannon, actually. For Manny Diaz and Al Golden, I think it was their 3rd year where they just had a downward trend of wins. Like, if you're a good coach and you have this program going right, at Florida State and Texas, you see every year they're getting more wins, right? By year 3 at Texas, they were in the playoffs. By year 3 at Florida State, under these 2 new coaches, right, they're in the playoffs. This is Mario Cristobal's 3rd year. And the magic sauce at Texas wasn't its offense. Texas used recruiting. Texas averaged 6 transfer takes in 21, 22, and 23 with their new coach. 6 a year. That's all they took. Florida State averaged, 14, 13, whatever. I mean, they had 9 starters on that team last year that were transfer guys and 2 more that were major contributors. Half their team was transfers that contributed last year. Total opposite sides of the spectrum. What I'm trying to get at is, and I don't want to talk too long, people hate it, but I don't care because no one's watching anyway. But at Texas, they did it through recruiting, development, and they actually inherited some decent talent, even though the team wasn't real good. They had 7 wins, 8 wins, before, and they had only had 1 10-win season the prior 10 seasons before. But essentially what Texas did, okay, was win with recruiting. Florida State won with the portal, and Mario Cristobal sort of trying to do a mishmash of both. And the good news is Texas did it with a defense that got better, okay? And Florida State did it with an offense that really exploded, right? And in Miami's particular case, I think it's going to be the offense. Because the defense, I don't think will be better like we're talking about. But that offense goes from 31 points a game to 38 points a game, maybe even pushing 40 points a game, which it should. You're winning all these close games. You have another touchdown average a game. You know, you're going to win those close games. You're going to lose maybe 1 or 2 games. So, like, yeah, today's topic is the defense going to be better? Our answer should have been it doesn't matter, right? Because no, the defense won't be that much better. Other teams, by the way, will be playing from behind. Last year, Miami was losing a lot of games. It was playing a lot of tight games. Other teams weren't really trying to put up a ton of points at the end of games. They were just trying to hold on, you know, run the ball for 3 yards, run the ball for 3 yards, punt on third down, punt on fourth down. If it's 3rd and 2, you're going to, you know, run it instead of trying to pass for a lot of yards, whatever. They weren't trying to, you know, catch up. When you're up by 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, other teams are going to get yards, right? Because your defense now is not taking as many chances. Like, that's what happens in football. Like, that's the game of football. And so just naturally, with Miami having a much better offense, more explosive offense, other teams will probably have more possessions. Other teams will probably be playing from behind more often. The other teams are not going to be stopped
my material
by this defense. Anyway, I've talked too much. But the point is, they're not going to
stealing my material.
Miami's defense is not going to rank any better. I'm stealing your material, whatever. I'm done.
You're stealing all my material.
For way too long. I don't want to ever talk that long again. That was bad. My bad, guys. It will never happen again. Don't worry. Out there, complainers, I will never do it again. Don't worry.
But because you're stealing all my material, you are 100% absolutely correct. The Miami offense is going to be more high scoring, more high octane this year. They're going to have more big plays, and that is going to create more opportunities for opposing teams to run offensive plays and try to score to keep up with the Miami offense. And you put all that together, and it's going to be very difficult for the Miami defense to statistically be better this year than it was last year. But this is a fascinating subject. We attack it. The interesting thing is Matt and I did have a little bit of different opinions than Azubi and Steven, but you could check all of them out on the website.
You don't even care what got stolen. You could care less about my life. That's fine. I'm not telling you now. Even if you ask me now, I'm not telling you. So just keep moving along. You could have said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear you got a package stolen, Matt. It's such an invasion of your privacy. You know, what did they take?" But no, you just talk about the defense.
Well, when you've been there that your wife is pooping into packages and sending them back, I was afraid it got returned.
It's called modern healthcare.
I didn't want to pry too hard. Okay, Matt, what was in the package that somebody stole?
I literally just told you. Again, you don't listen. I'm not telling you anymore. Move on. Next subject.
You didn't tell me unless I missed it just while you were ranting just now.
I told you I'm not going to tell you because you didn't ask. You could care less, and now you get to find out.
Real quick.
If somebody asks, listen, if somebody asks in the YouTube comments for somebody actually watches this stupidity, I will answer them, but I'm not answering you right now. You can look at the comments tomorrow if somebody actually asks.
I wasn't going to ask you anyway until you guilted me into it. So
I know you were going to ask. That's why I'm not telling you.
I'm gonna move on to our next great subject. Now, this one also is very interesting, and we do have a story on this on the website as well today, by the way. But this one is very, very interesting. Can the Miami Hurricanes have a 1,000-yard running back and a 1,000-yard wide receiver? And before you go, oh, absolutely, Restrepo's going to get 1,000, and Damian Martinez is going to get 1,000. There's no question. Miami's going to have 1,000-yard running back and receiver this year. Easy, no sweat. Before you go that far and, put on your cane glasses like I do, it's only happened once in history, folks.
For Miami, once in history for Miami.
Not for Miami. Yeah, I'm not talking about every team.
Not for everybody.
I'm talking about Miami. Miami's had some great offenses through the years. There's only been 1 year where they had a 1,000-yard receiver and a 1,000-yard running back. And not surprisingly, it was in the 2002 season when Willis McGahee ran for 1,753 yards and Andre Johnson had 1,092 receiving yards. And man, I don't know. I don't know if Martinez will hit 1,753, but could this be the second year in history that it happens? I don't know, Matt. I mean, when I look at the Miami offense coming into this year, it seems like there is going to be a lot of balance, but that balance, I think, probably precludes, and Martinez might go nuts and make it, but probably precludes one of the receivers hitting 1,000 if the ball's being spread around like I think it will be with the tight ends involved this year, the running backs in the passing game. I don't know, man. If I had to go one way or the other right now, I would say no. Your thoughts?
If I can get even odds And if I could be assured that that's Xavier Restrepo and Jacoby George in particular, and Damian Martinez in particular, didn't miss any time injured this year, then I would bet $10,000 that there will be $1,000 rusher and $1,000 receiver, $1,000 rusher and $1,000 receiver. I'm very confident and optimistic about that. Listen, as negative as I am, for me to have said that means it's true. It means it's going to happen.
All right, so we've got that story on the website today.
And by the way, I don't have $10,000 because they won't give me a refund for my Amazon package. So it would be $9,970, I would bet. Awkward silence. What's with the awkward silence? You trying to do the math? $10,000 minus my $30 package equals $9,970. You can take out your calculator.
I believe you. You know what I hope was in that package, quite honestly? Some new shirts. Like I hope you got some new shirts coming, because all I ever see you wear is that crazy Lacoste t-shirt. You have it on yet again this morning. You're pushing.
I did get 2 new shirts, but they were not stolen. They were not stolen.
You're pushing my buttons. I know you are, so I'm trying to ignore it.
This was a highly coveted gift. This is probably about as highly coveted a gift as you can get for $30. No doubt about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So our next great subject, and this one is also interesting, and the story again on the website this morning. Will Miami have a player with double-digit sacks? So we're talking about 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver. Now we're flipping over to the other side of the ball and saying, will Miami have somebody with double-digit sacks? And the Canes had 35 sacks last season, which ranked 19th in the country.
Can you see the guy stealing? Here it is. Yeah, you could watch him stealing my video. You want to see him stealing my package? Here he is. Let's see. How do I play this? Hold on. I'll play it for you.
I'm trying to talk football.
Here he goes. Look at this. By the way, the police asked why I don't close my gate. Right? See that? It's like he owns the house. That's it. My $30 package is gone.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Isn't that unbelievable? The police are like, why don't you close your gate? I'm like, I don't like to feel like I live in like a locked facility. You know, all my neighbors close their gates and stuff. I'm not closing my gate. I don't care. There's no way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice advertisement for the Ring doorbell.
Well.
All right. Getting back to what I was saying. Okay.
So the Ring doorbell could shoot like some sort of lasers. It would be worth it. You know, it doesn't do anything. The Ring doorbell is like a policeman who can't move. He's like frozen in place. It's like, what's the point of having that? It's like, oh yeah, you know, oh well.
Can I please talk football?
All right.
All right. Getting back to sacks. Can the Canes have a player with double-digit sacks? All right. So 35 sacks for the team last year. That ranked 19th in the country. There were 15 players in the country that had 10 or more sacks. Okay, so it's not the most unusual of accomplishments, okay? And, you know, you start thinking about Ruben Bain, and, you know, obviously he is a clear candidate to get to that point. But there just haven't been a lot of Miami Hurricanes. The last one that did it was in 2019, and that was Greg Rousseau. He had 15.5 sacks. Ruben Bain had 7.5 last year, okay, in his freshman year. He figures to have a chance to get double-digit sacks this year, okay? I mean, he should be a markedly better player this year than he was last year, even though he's a freshman All-American. So I would say that there's a decent chance that he gets it, but no, it's not that easy. I mean, you know, 2006, Calais Campbell had 10.5. Jalen Phillips, who's become a great pass rusher in the NFL, he had 8 sacks in his one full season. Joe Jackson in 2018 had 9 sacks. But no, it's not easy to hit 10, and it's not a given. Akeem Messidor had 7 in 2022. By the way, Tyler Barron, who's coming in as a pass rush specialist for Miami from Louisville through the transfer portal, he had 6.5 sacks in 1 year at Tennessee. Elijah Alston, another reinforcement through the portal, brought in for his pass rush.
See this, Ferman?
He had 6 sacks last season. Yes, Matt. What
Where
else
am
do you
I?
want to be? Do you have more videos to show us?
It's my selfie with the cops. Where am I? I can't see myself in here.
It's a
I don't
little
know.
bit whitewashed out.
Yeah, I don't know why. You know what? That's annoying.
Did they take your video, by the way?
I airdropped it to him.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. They must have had a party.
That was my selfie proof for my wife.
Bringing that back. But anyway, not so easy to get double-digit sacks, Matt. Let's just say Ruben Bain. This is Ruben Bain or bust, this topic. Does Ruben Bain hit 10 this year?
No, I don't think so. He actually, as good as he was last year, he actually struggled a little bit when they started really doubling and chipping him and all this other stuff. The truth is, I hate to bring up like, sort of comparisons to guys in the past who just like James Williams, who just wanted to stay at safety. Like Ruben Bain's insisting on staying at defensive end. He's a future to me if he keeps on getting bigger and stronger. And even, what I saw this spring, like he looks like a really strong, athletic defensive tackle. Now, is he physically dominant as a tackle right now? No, which is probably why he doesn't want to play it and get beat up on the interior. I get it. He's fast enough to be an end. Certainly, he's an excellent end, but he's not a Gregory Rousseau. He's not a Jalen Phillips. He's a I don't want to say short and stout, but compared to those guys, he's short and stout. Like he looks like a defensive tackle compared to those guys. In the NFL, he looks like a defensive tackle. Now, in college football, can he get away at whatever he is, 6'3", what is he, 270, something like that, last we checked? Can you get away playing being a big defensive end when you're fast enough and quick enough? Sure. But are you going to be a 10-sack guy coming off the edge when everyone already knows that you're the only guy on the line that you have to stop? As of now, who else are they going to be worried about, right? It looks to me like Akeem Massador is not going to be back to his 100% self. Tyler Barron, someone said he had 6 sacks. They were berating me on YouTube. I looked up his official bio. He had 5, okay? His best season, he had 5 sacks. Just because he comes here from the SEC doesn't mean he's going to get 10 sacks all of a sudden. It doesn't mean everyone's going to stop looking at Ruben Bain and saying, oh, my God, Tyler Barron's there. We got to just single Ruben and double Tyler. Like, no. Simeon Barrow on the inside, I think is really good, but he's a good run stopper, and yeah, can he get into the backfield and make some plays? Yes, but he's not a sack guy, Teams will have to deal with him, but really it's just Simeon Barrow and Ruben Bain to me. That's it on the defensive line. Like, I don't think anyone else on that defensive line scares anyone that Miami's going to face this year. And I think Ruben Bain, head and shoulders above everyone else, is the one who scares everybody. And it's so much harder to stop a Ruben Bain when you have someone else with the other offensive coordinators like, man, we got our hands full. We got to keep a tight end and keep a running back in. And then in those situations on the third downs or whatever it is, where the offensive coordinator takes a chance, right, and you wind up with one-on-one, that's when these guys just destroy the offense, right? But when you only have one guy, those offense coordinators don't have to really make a decision where we're setting this guy loose because we got to take a chance. We can't keep a tight end and running back in every damn down protecting, right? You can't go max protect all the time, but you can stop one guy all the time with a running back, chipping with a running back. You can move around a tight end to that side, things like that. It makes it much harder. And I don't think Ruben's going to have a lot of help on the defensive line this year. I'm sorry. That's just my perspective. And it's why I keep saying I think the offense will be great. And I think the defense will be worse than last year statistically. And I don't think anyone's getting 10 sacks. I do think they can get 30-plus sacks as a group, mainly because Lance Guidry is so damn aggressive. I mean, Francisco Mauigoa might lead the team in sacks this year. He tied for the team lead in sacks last year. Nobody seems to remember that.
Yeah.
But he blitzes safeties. He blitzes linebackers constantly. These guys are always trying to create confusion in the offense by doing things that are unexpected. So I could easily see Mauigoa with 7 or 8 sacks, Bain with 7 or 8 sacks. Barron could get 5 or 6 sacks. You add it all up across the line, and the linebackers and even the safeties, you're going to get over 30 sacks. Maybe even average 3 sacks a game. Who knows? But having one player get there to double digits, I don't see it. I'm taking the under.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Lance Guidry approaches pass rush this year. You look at the talent, and I agree with you. It's not guaranteed great, but it has been reinforced, with Simeon Barrow and obviously Tyler Barron. And you're hoping Mesidor is back. We'll see. But it has been reinforced, and they should be a decent pass rushing team with their 4 guys. Now, he's going to still, blitz Malgoa. There's no doubt about it. But like you said, he tied for the team lead in sacks last year. But I'm not so sure that we're going to see all kinds of safety blitzes and things like that this year from Lance Guidry. It's going to take some discipline on his part, but I think he might play it just a little bit closer to the vest this year than he did last year. It's going to be interesting, very interesting to see. But another great topic that we break down, and you guys can check that out today as well on CaneSport.com. And then the last one I want to bring up this morning, also backed up by a story that's on the website, is can Miami get back to being quarterback U? And there's so much hoopla with Cam Ward coming in and such great expectations of the season that he can have this year at Miami. And QBU, man, like that was the original, Miami's had so many of these through the years, tight end U, safety U, running back U, but quarterback U was it. Like that's what started this whole U thing back in the years of Miami's surge in college football. But we point this out, like it's it's been a while now. I mean, you're talking 2002, really, since Miami was really a legit quarterback U. So a legit question. Can Miami get that back this year with Cam Ward? Can Cam Ward have the kind of season that while people are saying the U is back, they might also be saying quarterback U is back? Matt, it's a long time coming. As I said, such gargantuan hopes for Cam Ward. What do you think on this one? Can Miami start restoring that QBU tradition in Coral Gables?
I don't know. Can the I don't know. I don't know, man. To me, the whole thing is a little bit overblown. You mean overblown? Because it's overblown because, like, I don't think a lot overblown. Yeah, every once in a while, Miami going to be back. This is going to be a start of a new something. And to me, I don't like that at this point where Miami is, I don't like that it has to be based on something old, because what Miami did before was self-fulfilling, right? Like when you're on a roll, everyone wants to be part of Miami, and you have great quarterbacks for a couple of years. Oh, I could be the next great quarterback. It builds on itself. So I think it's almost a disservice to Mario Cristobal and his staff if this does become a situation where the quarterbacks are just every damn year coming through here and just being amazing. It's almost like saying, well, other people did it before, right? It would be remarkable if this program has the type of quarterbacks that it did back, in the 90s, early 2000s, right? Even before the 90s. That would be remarkable. And I would come up with a new name, because, and especially if Miami's back, like I'm done with talking about the 90s. I'm done with talking about the early 2000s. Like Miami fans it was 20 years ago. It's like, my grandmother's been dead for 40 years. I still think about her, but I'm not, if someone else's grandmother comes along, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, you remind me of my grandmother. She was the best, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, let this person be themselves, right? If somebody's, spouse, God forbid, wife, whatever, spouse, wife, husband, whatever, you get a new wife and husband, you're not going to compare them to the old one, hopefully. I mean, that doesn't work well. So
how do you so casually bring your dead grandmother into this conversation?
I mean, most people's grandmother my age are dead, so that's sort of an obvious thing. But my point is, you don't want to compare. I'm trying to make it easy for you to see, Gary, that you don't want to compare like your second wife to your first wife, your second husband to your first husband. It's not fair. And it's a disservice to Mario Cristobal to keep talking about his first husband, first wife, whatever it is. Like, stop talking about Cristobal's first husband and first wife, which was quarterback U, bringing Miami back, all the greatness of the past. Like, no, if Mario gets this done, we need all new names. And they should all start with Cristobal, because it will be a freaking miracle. Okay? It will be a miracle. This is not something where anybody's coming to this school anymore based on what happened. I said 10 years ago, I said, listen, the people who were recruiting, this was 10 years ago I said this, the people Miami's recruiting now are like the last group of 18-year-olds that actually remember when Miami was great and might come here because of that. We've had that conversation back then, 10 years ago, right? I said, after this, forget about it. It's over. Like those old days and trying to get recruits by talking about those guys, that's done. And this is a decade later than that. None of these guys being recruited, none of these guys in the transfer portal saw a single game live on TV from those days, okay? They barely remember seeing Ray Lewis playing in the NFL, some of these guys, right? They're 17 years old, right? Unless they were watching, whatever, when they were 10, 9, 8, I don't know. But my point is this has to start a new tradition. And for fans to keep talking about the old days, I mean, you may as well be at Notre Dame talking about the Four Horsemen. Like, it doesn't make any sense, okay? So I know you wrote a great column, Gary, but to me, it's absurdity. Like, the column should have been like, let's just start a new tradition, Let's have Cam Ward. This could be the first year that they go to the playoffs, win 10 games, whatever, and that will be year one, right? That'll be the year that Jesus got rid of, the leprosy, walked on water, turned water into wine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, I was a English classes major. Do you know the story behind the turning water into wine and the walking on water? You know what the historians think actually happened?
No.
So in the old days, Jesus, believe it or not, he was in a Judaic sect originally, but they had these ceremonies, right? And the ceremonies in those days, they would use water, holy water, but he substituted wine at one of these ceremonies. So he turned water into wine at the ceremony, but you hear it, spoken through the years, whatever, and also he turned water into wine like it was a magic trick. And then, of course, if you walk on water, you can be walking on jetties that are just just under the water line. And if you're describing it, it looks like he's walking on the water, whatever. This is what historians think happened. Now, it might have been magic. Maybe there were some drones that nobody else had invented yet that he invented to hold them up by invisible strings. I don't know. But, that sort of thing makes sense to me. And when you talk about the Miami Hurricanes, like if there's going to be miracles, again, it's going to have to be based in reality and not based on some magic trick that Jesus may have done, or some other, whoever your favorite sci-fi hero, whoever, I don't know. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on anybody and whatever, but like it has to start in year zero. That's my whole point, right? This is AD, BC happening right now. BC is ending, AD is starting, and this is year zero. And we can't go backwards into the prehistoric times. We got to go forwards, okay? So it's really important that Mario get this done now. Like, we can't keep living in this horrific, pseudo great world where everyone thinks every year the Miami's going to be amazing and they're always terrible. Like, that has to end now, because the truth is, like, the pieces are there. It seems like the expectations are there. It seems like everyone thinks Miami will win 10 games this year. But last year, guess what? I mean, fans already forget. 99% of the people covering Miami and the national guys were saying Miami's going to win 10 games. They said that last year. I predicted 8 wins last year. But you predicted 9 or 10. Most people are predicting 10. So it's not like it's that different this year.
I didn't say 10. I said 9. And I was wrong.
Okay. But my point is, a lot of people did say 10.
Yeah, that's why I'm scared about this year. I'm hearing people talk about 11 for this year, and I'm like petrified.
Well, people are saying mostly 10. People are mostly saying 10 and 2. But the point is, like,
I might say 11, but
there has to be a turning point, and it can't be based on quarterback it can't be based on the good old days. It has to be starting in something that Mario has put in, whether it's a new culture. Like, there has to be something that can be built upon year after year after year where it's sustainable, and not, quarterback U's here for 1 or 2 or 3 years and then gone again. Like, Cam Ward is not quarterback U, okay, Gary? I know you wrote the column, but like, that's just the truth. Cam Ward could throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. It doesn't mean quarterback U's back. Miami can win every single game this year in the national championship. It doesn't mean Miami's back. Miami won't be back until there's a sustainable, every single year winning streak. And like, fans keep on wanting to proclaim stuff after 1 year. That's why I'm saying forget the past. We got to build something new and make it sustainable. Mario's trying to do it. I don't know that he'll get it done. It's why I keep saying don't use the transfer portal for just another guys, because you can try to win for 1 year and proclaim all you want. Miami's back and, oh, what a great year, which is what FSU did last year. But if the next year you suck again, like, that's what Virginia Tech had cyclically. They would be good every 4 years, like really good every 4 years, because their guys would be redshirt seniors and they have a bunch of seniors and they just start over. And Miami can't be in that situation where they just have a great year this year and they're starting over again every damn year. It has to be sustainable, has to be built right. And hopefully Mario will be Jesus, and we will be in year 0 this year, and he will bring us to the promised land. I know I'm mixing metaphors. I don't care. Moses, Jesus, you pick whatever. Like, I'm all in. As long as he's one of these freaking religious cult figures, I will pray like this to him if he goes undefeated, and I will never say anything negative ever again. As long as it's sustainable and he goes undefeated every single year, I won't say anything negative at that point. God forbid he loses one game, though, in the next 5 years. I will be pissed.
You know, it's a great subject, and you do make great points. I mean, you know, these things all do need to be sustainable. There's no doubt about it, and I agree. Nothing's back until it's back for more than 1 year. So we'll see what happens. But that's another topic we addressed on the website here, and you guys can be sure to check that out. And by the way, while I'm talking about the website, if you are not yet a member to CaneSport.com, please. Your subscriptions allow our entire staff to do what we do every day, which is work around the clock to enhance your fan experience with great content and great perspectives. And if you're not yet a subscriber to the site, please come on over, join our community of fans. You will not be sorry. We've got a great group of guys on the message boards, and we hope we give you guys good content. So please come on over to CaneSport.com and become a subscriber. And if you're on YouTube right now, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It does help us with the algorithms at YouTube in growing our audience. All right, our Miami Hurricanes 50-1 countdown, ranking top 50 post-spring players, continues. The last couple days, we've addressed number 36, safety Markeith Williams, number 35, safety Jaden Harris, and number 34, quarterback Emory Williams. Today, we are taking a look at our 33rd ranked player, freshman wide receiver JoJo Trader. Matt, part of these features is we talk about what guys have to do to move up the list. If Miami didn't pick up Sam Brown, I think I would have been saying that JoJo Trader is going to move up this list as the season goes on. Now with Sam Brown in the fold, with Jacoby George, Restrepo, Isaiah Horton's still there, I'm not sure. I mean, I think JoJo's going to play, and he's going to play a lot. I'm just not sure what his impact is going to be. So I would say, you know, right here at number 33 is probably about the right spot for him.
Well, again, we're not ranking these things based on what we think the statistics will be at the end of the year. We're not ranking these guys based on how many reps we think they'll get. We're pretty much ranking them based on what I think their talent is, and where they probably should rank on the roster because of their talent. And to me, there's no doubt that JoJo Trader is probably a top 20 talent, but maybe even top 10, but he just hasn't done it yet, right? So you don't know. So that's why he's outside the top 30, just outside the top 30. But any true freshman who's, at this spot that he is, it's basically just indicative, like, this guy can help you. This guy can help you if he can earn the trust of coaches this fall, where he can be consistent, know where to be on certain passes, right? Because some of these freshmen, you call a play, and it's supposed to be an in, and they run it out, and it's intercepted, right? And you think, oh my God, what a bad throw by the quarterback. But sometimes it's the receiver just like having a meltdown, a mental breakdown, and that's really what freshmen sort of have to battle. So I think where we put him is a very fair place, but I do think he'll be a top 20 talent, top 10 talent in the years ahead.
All right. And like I said at the beginning of the show, tons of recruiting coverage continuing to come your way with the official visits starting on Friday, with the Mario Cristobal camp on Sunday. A lot of prospects going to be visiting Coral Gables. We will be bringing you blockbuster coverage of all that. Today we have a story on top 200 edge Hayden Lowe, who's talking ahead of his Miami official visit this weekend about how much he loves the coaching staff. So make sure you check that out as well, and stay tuned to the website all week long as we continue to advance a big recruiting weekend coming up this weekend in Coral Gables. But that's going to do it for this morning for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. We will keep you updated on Matt's package and whether they catch the thief. I don't know how much effort they're going to put into it, to be honest.
No, and I love it. The truth is, I told the office, I said, listen, I I don't really care if you catch the guy and get my package back or not. I said, my concern more so is like the neighbors. Like, I don't want these, packages disappearing all over the neighborhood constantly, So if you get complaints from other people that their packages are being stolen, you have this video. Maybe that's the guy who's stealing them, and then you can keep a lookout for him, But if it's just a once in a millennial thing, like that doesn't really bother me. I've had a lot of packages delivered. First time I've ever had one stolen. So, have you ever had a package stolen?
Before we go, what was? Oh yeah, all the time. But before we go, what's in the package?
You know what? It was so nice of you to ask. You really care about me.
Come on.
I was trying to remember. I can't remember what it was. I keep trying to remember. What was it? It was a Stanley Cup. That's what it was.
A Stanley Cup.
You don't know what a Stanley Cup is? You could look it up.
I know what a Stanley Cup is. Boy, what replica of the trophy?
No. It's a very popular drinking cup.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sure you can find another one. And cheers to you and all your drinking. And again, thank you everybody for starting out your day with us. And we will see you next time.